It all started as a simple home improvement project. After years of worrying about strangers wandering onto my property, I decided it was time to install a sturdy, decorative gate at the entrance to my driveway. Nothing fancy, just a wrought iron structure with a keypad entry, designed to blend in with the natural landscape. I imagined my mornings would now start with a sense of security and peace, not with the fear of trespassers or unwanted visitors. Little did I know that this small act of independence would set off a war with HOA Karen, a neighbor so obsessed with control that she seemed to think the entire neighborhood belonged to her. The day I installed the gate, Karen appeared like a storm cloud over my otherwise serene yard. She stomped up the driveway, arms waving, red-faced and fuming. "What do you think you're doing?" she yelled before I could even greet her. "This gate is illegal. You can't just put it up without HOA approval." I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Karen, this gate is entirely on my property. The deed clearly gives me the right to secure my own driveway." Her eyes narrowed. "I don't care about deeds. You're disrupting the community's aesthetic. I'm calling the HOA board." She did more than that. Karen ran inside her house, slamming doors so hard that the windows rattled. Within minutes, my phone was blowing up with calls and text messages. Not just from her, but from members of the HOA and neighbors who had clearly been tipped off. Flyers appeared on cars down the street, warning of my illegal gate and dangerous obstruction. The sense of community I'd always valued suddenly felt like a trap of petty politics and overzealous rules. Over the next few days, Karen escalated. She showed up multiple times a day, taking pictures of the gate from every angle and posting them on the HOA online forum with captions like, "This is what happens when people think they can break the rules." I tried reasoning with her. I explained the legalities, the survey lines, and even offered to compromise on the gate's design. Nothing worked. She was relentless, wielding bureaucracy like a weapon and treating my property as if it were her personal fiefdom. One afternoon, she called the police, claiming I had blocked emergency access. 2 officers arrived, clipboard in hand, and I welcomed them politely. I explained everything clearly, showing them the property lines and the permits I didn't even need, but had voluntarily acquired to avoid any misunderstanding. After a thorough inspection, the officers left, shaking their heads with barely concealed amusement at Karen's obsession. But Karen didn't stop. She organized a petition among the neighbors, demanding that I remove the gate immediately. She even held a neighborhood meeting on her porch, loudly declaring that my gate was a threat to harmony and property values. I attended, calmly presenting my evidence, but it was like talking to a storm. Karen interrupted constantly, waved her hands dramatically, and accused me of being a tyrant. Some neighbors whispered in my ear that they supported me, but no one dared challenge her openly. I realized then that reasoning alone wouldn't win this battle. So I started documenting everything: photos, videos, written records, and even recordings of her threats. I hired a local attorney specializing in property law and began preparing for the inevitable showdown at the HOA board meeting. When the day came, Karen arrived with her usual flair, expecting to dominate the room. Instead, I calmly laid out the legal facts, presented my evidence, and pointed out her repeated violations of the HOA rules herself. The room fell silent. Her arguments crumbled under scrutiny. The final blow came when I discovered that several of her previous complaints were based on misinformation. Emails she had forwarded to the board were misleading or outright false. When I presented the corrected information, the HOA had no choice but to side with me. Karen's face turned crimson, her fury barely contained, as the board voted unanimously to acknowledge my right to keep the gate. In the end, the gate remained, a symbol of persistence and justice. Karen continued to glare from across the street, but her power was broken. My mornings were peaceful again, the driveway secure, and the sense of relief was profound. The entire episode taught me that standing up for one's rights requires patience, courage, and meticulous preparation. And while Karen may have lost her mind over a simple gate, I gained a valuable lesson in resilience, strategy, and the satisfaction of defending what's rightfully mine.